The Boy Cowboy and the Black Horse in the dusty, sun-scorched town of Red Gulch. Nestled deep in the heart of the Wild West, there lived a young boy named Jesse. At just 14 years old, Jesse was already known as one of the finest riders in the territory. His best friend and trusted companion was a sleek, jet-black horse named Midnight. Together, they roamed the open plains, herding cattle and dreaming of adventures beyond the horizon. But one fateful morning, Jesse woke to find Midnight gone. The stable door was wide open, and hoof prints led away into the distance. His heart sank as he realized his beloved horse had been stolen. Determined to get Midnight back, Jesse grabbed his hat, strapped on his father's old revolver, though he never fired it, and set off on foot. Following the trail, the tracks led him through rocky canyons and across dry river beds until he reached a small, ramshackle town called Dustwater. It was the kind of place where outlaws gathered, and the air was thick with the smell of whiskey and tobacco. Jesse's eyes narrowed as he spotted a familiar black horse, tied up outside a saloon called the Rusty Spur. Taking a deep breath, Jesse pushed through the swinging doors of the saloon. The room was dimly lit, filled with the sounds of clinking glasses, raucous laughter, and the twang of an out-of-tune piano. At a corner table sat three rough-looking men, their faces shadowed by wide-brimmed hats. One of them was bragging loudly about the fine black stallion he'd acquired the night before. Jesse's blood boiled, but he knew he couldn't take them on alone. Instead, he hatched a plan. He approached the bar and ordered a sarsaparilla, keeping his hat low to hide his face. As he sipped his drink, he overheard the men's conversation. They were planning to sell Midnight to a rancher in the next town at dawn when the men stumbled out of the saloon hours later. Drunk and careless, Jesse followed. They led him to a small corral on the edge of town where Midnight stood. His coat gleaming under the moonlight, the men fumbled with the gate, arguing over who would ride the horse first. Seizing his chance, Jesse crept closer. He let out a low whistle, a signal he and Midnight had used. For years, the horse's ears perked up, and he whinnied softly. In one swift motion, Jesse untied the gate and swung onto Midnight's back. But the outlaws weren't about to let their prize escape so easily. One of them drew his revolver and fired a shot into the air. "Get that kid," he shouted. Jesse spurred Midnight into a gallop, but the outlaws were quick to mount their own horses. A chase erupted, with bullets whizzing past Jesse as he leaned low over Midnight's neck, urging him to run faster. The desert night was alive with the thunder of hooves and the crack of gunfire. Realizing he couldn't outrun them forever, Jesse guided Midnight toward a narrow canyon he knew well. As they entered the canyon, Jesse dismounted and took cover behind a large boulder. He gripped his father's revolver, his hands trembling but determined. The outlaws rode into the canyon, their laughter echoing off the walls. "Come on out, kid," one of them taunted. "You're outnumbered." Jesse took a deep breath and stepped into the open. "Midnight's mine," he said, his voice steady, "and I ain't letting you take him." The outlaws laughed, but their amusement turned to surprise as Jesse raised his revolver and fired. The shot ricocheted off the rocks near the lead outlaw's head, sending him diving for cover. A gunfight erupted, with Jesse using the canyon's narrow walls to his advantage. He moved quickly, firing precise shots to keep the outlaws pinned down. One by one, the outlaws' shots grew wilder as they realized Jesse wasn't just a scared kid, he was a force to be reckoned with. Finally, with a well-aimed shot, Jesse knocked the revolver out of the lead outlaw's hand. The man cursed and raised his hands in surrender. "All right, kid, you win," he growled. "Take the horse and leave us be." Jesse kept his revolver trained on the men as he mounted Midnight. "Don't let me catch you in Red Gulch," he warned before turning and riding out of the canyon. By the time the sun rose, Jesse and Midnight were miles away, safe and free. The outlaws were never seen in Red Gulch again, and Jesse became a legend, the Boy Cowboy who outsmarted a gang of thieves and won a gunfight to save his horse. From that day on, Jesse and Midnight were inseparable, proving that courage, loyalty, and a steady aim could conquer even the Wild West's toughest challenges. The end.